everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of CU Faith Fridays. This week we have joining us sophomore Maria Del Rosario, who is going to be sharing with us a little bit about faith and a few other things that she has going on in her life that are connected to that. So, Maria, thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
yeah, and so I think to start, usually we just like to begin by asking everyone to tell us a little bit about themselves. So why don't we start there? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so we can get to know you?
Sure. So, my name's Maria. I'm a sophomore nursing major, and I'm from Woodbridge, New Jersey. And I came to Caldwell because of the short and small class sizes in nursing and their highly ranked nursing program. And I'm involved in campus ministry, DFIE, and Kuzna on Caldwell's campus.
Oh, okay, that's great. And that last organization you said you were involved in, do you want to explain what that is, especially for our viewers who might not know?
Sure. So Kuzna is the Caldwell University Nursing Association program. So it's ranging from all of freshmen to seniors, and we just help each other out in our classes and other activities that we could be involved in.
Okay, cool. Cool. That's awesome. That's great. And do you feel like being a part of that enhances your experience as a nursing major at Caldwell?
I definitely do believe that it's really nice having like seniors to help you out, or juniors, or people that you won't necessarily meet in your everyday campus life.
That's great. And I think from what I remember of previous students that I've known who've been involved in Kuzna, that you guys do some service things as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or just like some outreach and to be a part of the community. That's awesome. That's great. So let's talk first. We'll start with how the semester's going. Judging by the background on your screen, I'm going to assume that you're from home, working from home this semester. So how's the semester going? What are some of the highs and lows of it for you?
I would say that being at home is not as bad as it was last semester. I definitely have a hang of it now, and I feel like I have more time, but also I don't at the same time. So I'd say that a high of it is that I still get to live at home with my family, and I get to see them obviously every day and have more of a personal relationship with school, like by myself without, my friends around me. But I would say that a low is also not seeing them. I do get like kind of FOMO when I see everyone at school and hanging out and all that stuff. But it's okay because I know I have the rest of my years for that.
Yes, yeah, and hopefully this having to choose like remote learning versus on campus, hopefully that choice won't have to happen for too much longer. So, but it's good to hear that you are, sounds like you're making the most of your experience at home, which is
Hmm.
great. So one of the things that you mentioned that you were involved in is DFIE, I think you said.
Yes.
That's a sorority on campus for those who might not know. So do you want to talk a little bit about your experience in DFIE? What's it like being at or with a sorority at Caldwell?
Sure. So I joined Delta Phi Epsilon last semester as a freshman, and it's been great. I love being able to be in a group of women who are always there for you, and especially before we went into remote learning, I would see all of them on campus, and it's just nice to have a familiar face walking around. And also, we do a lot of outreach and service as well. So, one of the main things why I decided to join was because of their three philanthropies. And I wanted to get more involved in the community and also in doing service for that.
Cool. That's great. So as you know, this is a CU Faith Fridays interview session. So I just wanted to ask, and I think I've always been a little bit curious about this, but is there any connection for you between your faith and the way that you live your faith and being a part of a sorority?
Yeah, sure. So, I would say that in a sorority, obviously, everyone is coming from different backgrounds, different faith. And in the beginning, I didn't think there was a connection honestly, but I feel like as I'm in it now in my second semester, it's like we have the same morals without being the same faith, if that makes sense. Of how we're all there for a purpose and we're all here to have an education, but we also want to get the most out of our college experience, whether that might be with social events or service events. And I would say that since we all have the morals of wanting to help others through our philanthropies, that there is some kind of connection there with just wanting to be helpful and be there for other students and people in our community.
That's great. That's great. And I can imagine too that the element of being a part of a community is probably pretty important too. So
Yes.
great, great. So I guess with that, you want to talk, can you talk a little bit about your faith life? What's your faith life like? What's your relationship with God like? How would you describe that?
Sure. So, since middle school, I've been in Catholic school, and my high school experience was in an all girls school. So, I've definitely been in tune with my faith for my entire life, basically. But I would say once coming to college, it's definitely been more personal and in a way where I'm not being forced to go to mass or I'm not being forced to do like religion classes or anything like that. It's more of me trying to find ways that I can incorporate my faith life in everyday life since it is so busy. Um, and I would say that my relationship with God is more of a friendship, to the point where I can just have a normal conversation in my head with God when I'm praying, and it's not so structured. And I definitely feel like I'm more open in talking to God now since I'm like older in that way, and I don't feel that God is so far away from me. So yeah, I would definitely say it's like a friendship, um, and that I can have conversations with God in my head, and it just feel like I'm talking to someone.
I love that. I love that. I think that's so great. And I love the way that you described your faith as a college student and the way that it's transitioned from high school and even grade school to where you are now. And I think that's exactly what our faith is supposed to do. You know, we are supposed to grow, and our faith is supposed to grow with us because we don't have the same relationship with God that we did when we were in fifth grade, because we're
Hmm.
adults now, you know. So I love the way that you described that of having a friendship with God and the way that you can just kind of talk to God um, and share in that relationship. That's really great. What would you, or what have been some of the tools that you have used for your faith life to deepen your faith life? So maybe it is going to mass sometimes, but maybe it's other things as well. What are some of those tools that you use to practice your faith?
Um, Definitely I do go to mass every Sunday, and ever since that we've had to do remote masses. My family and I like to, watch it all together for an hour every Sunday. And also in high school I was involved in a youth ministry. So I feel like that is a really good outlet as well, having a group of people that are there with the same faith as me and believe the same things. Um, and using those to just strengthen myself, but also take inspiration from the youth group and my family and how their faith is, and use it to better my faith.
Great. Good. What do you think are some of the obstacles that college students might face in growing in their faith?
I definitely would say that once you start getting busy in college, it's easy to just put that aside and, worry about it another time. But I would say that it definitely is an obstacle trying to fit it in and make it a regular thing in your schedule, especially with all the tests and midterms and finals. So I would say the biggest obstacle is trying to find time for it. But once you prioritize it in your life, it's easy to incorporate into your normal daily routine.
Great. That's awesome. And one of the things that I heard you mention was how you and your family get together to still watch Mass
Hmm.
virtually on Sundays. I think a lot of families are still doing the virtual thing as well, which is great. I'll put in a little plug that Caldwell has their Masses virtually as well on Sunday nights. So if people are interested, they can always tune into that. But what has the connection been for you between your family life, your culture, um, yeah, your upbringing, things like that, and your faith? What's that connection for you?
Well, growing up in a Filipino family, everyone in my family is Catholic, and faith is a really big, prominent part in our lives. And ever since I was young, like I've just been surrounded with people who are so deep in their faith, like my grandparents, my great grandma, and it's just been such a big, prominent life that it just feels wrong when I'm not practicing or, not as in tune with it as I was maybe. But I would definitely say that since my family is so deep in their faith, it inspires me to be just like them. And it reminds me that, like I said before, it might be hard to fit it in your college life, but it's kind of a reminder that, if my family, who's busy as they are, can do it, like I can do it as well.
That's great. And it sounds like it makes faith for you in that way, this gift that I think that you'll really hold on to for forever, which is really amazing. That's
hmm
excellent. Awesome. Well, good. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us, Maria, before we wrap up?
Um, I would also say that being in the first program really did help me get into my faith also in college. I just decided to do that program out of a whim, and it's given me the opportunity to work with campus ministry in Colleen and do this interview. And it's really been a blessing in disguise joining that program and getting involved in all these opportunities.
Oh, that's great. That's really great to hear. And I'll just say for those who might not know what the first program is, I think we've talked about it in a previous interview with someone else, but the first program stands for Freshman Immersion into Reflection, Service, and Tradition. So it's an experience held the few days before official move in on campus for incoming freshmen, where we go out into the community, we do service, there's reflection time together as a group. There's some community building, bonding experience as well. So that's really great, Maria, that you had such a good experience with that. That seemed to really propel you and start you out on the right foot. So that's great. Excellent. We'd like to thank Maria very much for being with us this week and for sharing so much of her journey. And we hope that you have found something in there that maybe inspires you to connect with your faith a little bit more and on a deeper level. So, thank you so much for joining us this week. We invite you to tune in next week, as we'll have a new guest joining us. But in the meantime, have a wonderful weekend and thank you for being here.